What is going on, everybody? Zach RC here. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome along to episode number 5 of the F1 24 Driver Career Mode series for the Chinese Grand Prix, the first sprint round of the season. Before we start, guys, thank you so much for the love you showed on the last episode. If you did miss that episode and this is the first time you're here, make sure to go check out the playlist before you jump into today's video. There'll be a link in the top right hand corner of your screen now. So make sure to go check that out before you jump into this one. So looking forward to this one. Obviously, the first time we'll be running with the sprint qualifying format. Obviously, it wasn't present in F1 23, but is present in F1 24 as we get through our specialist goals before we start things off. Nice and simple there. A brief look at our contract. Of course, we're well on the way to our 80 target by the end of the season. We're nearing 76. We could bang that today potentially if we have a good enough result. And of course, we still lead the teammate rivalry over Yuki Tsunoda. But if the last episode was anything to go by, we could be in for a bit more of a showdown with our teammate over the course of the next few races. In terms of R&D, got a chassis upgrade we'll look into here. Of course, looks like we could push forward and try and crack the top 5 in the development race, but could be a while away. Look at the gap right now. Mercedes and Aston Martin quite way in front. We've got 5 upgrades between myself and Yuki coming in over the next race weekend or two. So advanced time here going towards the Chinese Grand Prix. Haven't driven Shanghai in a good few years in a career mode setting, so I'm looking forward to actually getting back out on the track again and seeing what it's got to offer under this set of regulations. All upgrades gone through successfully, so no issues whatsoever there. Looking forward to having them come into effect on the racetrack. One upgrade, our chassis upgrade coming in hopefully for next time out in Miami. We'll see nothing left in terms of price range for our next upgrade. So to hold off on the resource points for now. So unfortunately, there's a wait until episode number 6. But without further ado, then it's time to jump into sprint qualifying. Brief look at the R&D chart before we jump in. There's our results at the bottom of the screen. Looking to perhaps knock the points for a third time and jump in now for the first sprint race of the season.
Now here's something we haven't said for a little while. Welcome along to qualifying in China. After a few years absence from the calendar, it is great to be back here. But just who is going to put their car on pole?
Here we go then for sprint qualifying for the Chinese Grand Prix. Of course, this is a separate qualifying session for the sprint weekends now to go with Grand Prix qualifying itself, which will come up after the sprint race. Into SQ1, of course, regulations a bit different in terms of tyres. So on the mediums this time around, of course, we normally stick to bolting on a fresh set of softs and going balls to the wall on our first runs in each session. We are nearing a bit of wear on the engine, so we could be in trouble today for that. We'll keep an eye out as the session goes on. We shouldn't be under too much risk. As we come towards the line now to start our first flying lap of the session, looking for a clean run into the very long first corner. Of course, have to be careful in the main race itself. Think back to 2016, the collisions between Raikkonen, Vettel and Kvyat, which obviously saw the end of Raikkonen's challenge and the infamous torpedo quote from Vettel. Good run for the first couple of corners as you charge towards the end of the first sector. Solid hook up to the lap so far, and again, just getting used to the circuit. I don't do the practice sessions really. I've done a few laps in time trial, but aside from that, we're not really looking at too much in terms of Shanghai. Decent first sector, and now down towards the hairpin at turn number 14, one of the tightest corners on the circuit. Good overtaking opportunity with the DRS straight leading into the right-hander, and then into the last corner here. We're dangerous on track limits, so be very careful on the exit here. Of the last corner, nice and clean. DRS deployed once again. Last lap actually going through towards the line. It's a 1 minute 34.9. Alonso and Sainz on top of us already, so we're down to P3 to kick things off. But it's a solid lap, and that one lap alone gets us into SQ2. Zhou Guanyu, Nico Hulkenberg, Bottas, Magnussen, and Sargent all eliminated. So myself and Tsunoda get through into the second part of the session. Now this is where we normally falter during Grand Prix qualifying to get around the Red Bull of Sergio Perez there, of course, the sister team to the RB. But a solid lap again once more, and look and see if we can improve on our lap from SQ1. Norris is fastest, he set at 134, similar to our lap last time round. Let's see if we can do any better than that. Bit wide over the last corner, but charging, looking for a low 34 this time. 34.5 puts us into P3, and once again, it's looking close. I think we'll take the risk here and go without a second lap once more. But we're in the top 10 and we stay there. So here we go. Our first Q3 appearance comes in the Chinese Grand Prix sprint qualifying. Verstappen on top. Tsunoda unfortunately went out in Q2, so he'll start 13th. But now we're into the top 10 shootout. But unfortunately, as we went out for our one run towards the end of the session, made a few mistakes, ran particularly wide there at the right hand at the start of the second sector. So that really cost us a decent chunk of time compared to our last few laps. Just come through the last corner here as the checker flag falls on qualifying over the curb, going wide there, and completed that with a 1 minute 34. So actually it's 1 minute 35 right at the end there. So in the end, it's P10. But the fact that we've managed to make the shootout now, we've made the show for qualifying, and now I think this car could be in a position to go for regular Q3 appearances from here on, both myself and Yuki. Norris on pole, Verstappen joins him on the front row. We finished a second and a half off of the pole time, but of course qualifying gives us no points, so it's time now for the sprint race to see if we can nab some more championship points. Before we go into it, a quick update on our ratings. In terms of the improvement through pace and the pace rating, we get our 76 overall. So, first target that we can complete. Can we try and score some points now? Let's go and find out.
Forget pit stops, forget fuel management. It's pedal to the metal all the way here as we get ready for today's sprint.
Here we go then, time for the sprint race from P10 on the grid alongside Fernando Alonso, all mediums to kick this race off. Onto the formation that we go, and of course, top 10 doesn't deliver points in the sprint. It's just 8 points for the win and 1 point further down for every single position from there, down to P8, so we'll be looking to gain 2 places, and I couldn't think of 2 more intimidating drivers to try and have those places off. Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton, 3-time world champion and 7-time world champion there on the grid. But can we do it? Oh, bit of a too far forward in the starting spot, so back a bit, but hopefully that shouldn't impact us too much. But here come the lights now. Norris and Verstappen on the front row for the sprint race here in Shanghai. The first sprint of 2024 is underway. Poor getaway, the lights there. Very slow start. There goes Gasly, there goes Ocon, sliding there, almost losing traction completely at the start. It's a nightmare getaway, down to P17 at the first corner. But thankfully there's a trick we can use here, right back up the inside of everyone who leaves that door wide open on the inside in the first couple corners. And that's a trick we'll have to exploit an awful lot today. So a nightmare start. I think if not for that little trick to exploit from the AI, then we could be in a lot more trouble. We've still lost places here. We're down off of Ocon and Alonso in front of us, but so I think someone else got in front of 2. I believe that is, I'm not sure who that be. That's Gasly up in P6. The Alpine already making moves. He started right behind us. He's up into a points-paying place just like that. Ocon gets back around us, so we're down to P12 here. Snowder in P14, so he's down a place as well. Not a good start with the 2 RB cars. Let's try and work on getting back around the Frenchman here and catching back up to Alonso. If that train gets away, given the DRS situation on this game, and of course the huge DRS trains that follow in the 2 DRS zones at this circuit, and we could be in deep trouble and out of a chance to score points. See Lewis and Gasly going side by side up into the left-hander here and coming through the end of the second sector and the start of the third through another sweeping right-hander here. Ocon to our outside. The Frenchman gets the drive off. He'll maintain P11 for the time being. That's use some of our overtake here to try and get back around him. He'll use some of his battery too, so he'll maintain the spot unless we can get a good tow on him, because Alonso's quite way up the road, so he might not get a good tow. We'll turn off our battery to defend it. Here comes Stroll to our inside now, making the move. They try to take Ocon as well. They're trying to get back around the outside of them into the braking zone, but Stroll cuts back up in front of us there.
Lance Stroll again proves he's one of the best in the world.
Alright, let's focus now for the rest of the race.
Focus indeed. On to lap 2 then. Stroll gets around Gasly. Gasly back down the order here as he pushes further on into the lap. Gasly with a big mistake, and we us with a big mistake ourselves. Snowden to the outside. I was trying to make a move. Teammate versus teammate into the left hander. We've got the inside line going in, and we'll shut the door, give him a little bit of room, but still shut it regardless to maintain our position here. We don't want to go any lower than this over the course of the next 8 laps of this race. Down towards turn 14, 3 wide in front. We've got Alonso taking on both silver arrows all by himself there. Stroll 2 places back, and those guys going 3 wide. Provided no one backs out, which no one does back out, and that shuffles everyone behind them. And the leaders have pulled away. We're looking at low points here, but still with some potential points if we can get through this pack. On to lap 3 and towards turn 1 again. Alonso taking them on around the outside, gets up in front of both Mercedes cars. Leclerc joins the party now on the outside of the racetrack. We got the inside of both Gasly and of Stroll there. Underneath to go through turn 2 and now into 3 around the outside. Can we hold traction 3 wide on the exit? Looks like Leclerc gets in front, slider from us, keeping it in front of Stroll, who's still side by side with us to go towards the braking zone once again on the inside. Leclerc holds us up on the way through. We can't brake as late as we'd like for fear of running into the Ferrari. So Stroll is still there alongside us. We get back in front on the exit and to use a bit of battery to cut back in front of him and slam the door a bit more aggressive than with our teammate. Stroll backs out of it, and we're back into P10. Once again, back around Stroll here on lap 4, falling back. The guy continues to go back and forth with the Canadian here. Leclerc fighting Russell, Hamilton pulling away. Alonso up there in 6th place, all by himself now as he charges towards the right hander once again. Stroll's got the edge on the outside. This time we can outbrake him a bit more. There's a bit more distance to try and do it. Russell and Leclerc side by side in front on the exit. We pull clear the Canadian off coming off the corner, and we are back up into the top 10, but 2 places away still from the points. Leclerc and Russell fighting, holding each other up. As once again here on to lap 6. Leclerc pulls away. It's now Hamilton who takes his turn, fighting with his teammate, and we're still stuck behind these guys. Stroll now to the inside of us, going towards the next corner. We're side by side again. We cannot get away from Lance Stroll over the course of this sprint race. Good exit though, help us drive off, and there we go. Oh, slide there again, and Stroll I think had to shuffle away a little bit to avoid colliding with us on the exit. But we managed to pull back in front, and again keeping this place, but it's not a point to pay in place. We need a bit more from this here. On to lap 7, closing all the way up to Lewis and diving to his inside. We can sneak in, yes we can. Very sneaky tactic and wouldn't work in real life, but we've managed to make it stick regardless. Up into P9 now, 1 place off the points. Leclerc pulling away, Russell trying to pull away too. We can stay in DRS range, we might still have a chance at beating him in the last 3 laps of this race. On to lap 8, again using our tactic at turn 1 to close all the way up on the inside of our compatriot, making the move on Russell as we go through turn number 3 now. We can start working on chasing Leclerc. Yellow behind us, who's that going to be? It's Russell! Russell! The car's gone up in smoke, I don't believe it! Just after we passed him, and once again, cars going up to pieces in the closing stages of a race. We've had Albon twice, now having George Russell do it as well. It's just, there are just cars who just can't seem to avoid it at all here. On to the last lap, we maintain P8, but Hamilton and Stroll, they're behind us. We've got a bit of battery save, but to really hold that for the last run towards turn 14. Into the last sector we go, looking to cap this off with a single solitary point that we perhaps might not even had if Russell hadn't retired from this race. 19 cars still in the running. Up front, Verstappen is on his way for the last couple of corners to come and take the flag here. He's put on a dominant performance. It's an absolute clinic from Max Verstappen, who runs to the line and wins the first sprint of the season with the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz following him home in 2nd place. Meanwhile for us, Hamilton and Stroll both making moves here. Hamilton goes through, Stroll on our inside, goes try and outbrake our compatriot, the 7-time champion of Mercedes, around the outside at turn 14. Can we get a good drive off? Use a bit of our overtake, what's left of it to go through, and just pull in front of Lewis into the last corner. And right, we managed to hang it on here, down towards the line, up into P8, and that'll be where we take it at the flag. What a race.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
So that's it then. Verstappen wins the sprint, Sainz 2nd, Piastri 3rd, Lando drops to 5th place in the end, Perez comes home 4th, Alonso 6th, he pulled away, Leclerc pulled away in 7th, and we come home in 8th narrowly by just over a 10th over Lewis Hamilton and about 4 tenths in front of Lance. Yuki comes home P12, so all in all, solid start. I think if the sprint still sort the starting order for the race, then we'd be in a lot better place, but unfortunately we've still got qualifying to do, so let's jump in.
Now here's something we haven't said for a little while. Welcome along to qualifying in China. After a few years absence from the calendar, it is great to be back here. But just who is going to put their car on pole?
Into Q1 now for the main event itself, the Grand Prix, starting our first flying lap, looking to carry some of that pace from the sprint up into the Grand Prix itself. Now of course we got into Q3 in sprint qualifying, so hoping we can either come close or deliver more of the same here as we come into the first corner on the circuit through turns 1, 2 and 3. Solid run, keep it to the inside of the circuit this time on the soft tyres, so we can go a bit more all out, accept the time to be a little bit faster there in terms of pace. Obviously battery in deploy. Our engine is still suffering a little bit. There's been no component changes. We're going to try and keep things going for as long as we can, these components. It's a long season and we want to try and avoid as many engine penalties as we can over the course of the campaign. Out of turn 14 now, running towards the last corner on the circuit, turn 15 to complete our first flying lap of the session. Honestly, I'm thinking we may go for this one lap scene, depending on how it is. 1:34.4, which is an improvement on our SQ2 time, which is our fastest across the session. Puts us in P4, and we are safe in Q2 alongside Yuki. Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Bottas, Leclerc shockingly out of the session, and Sargent dead last in P20. So Charles Leclerc is going to have some work to do to close up the order over the course of the Grand Prix. Into Q2 now, again looking for a solid run. Things get a lot closer here, so I doubt we will make Q3. If I'm completely honest, Russell goes fast, it's 1:33.4. That just shows the pace of the Mercedes. The top 5 guys, are all, in terms of teams, are still all so close together. We're just that little bit farther back in P6 in the arms race, development-wise. Wide again off the last corner. We are struggling here on that curve. And towards the line, 1:34.5. That's sort of the range we're sort of setting in terms of times here. And we have time for one more at the end of the session. We can go for another set of tyres. Accelerate time down to P14 as of right now. Albon there, the only car behind us. Yuki right now in Q3, so we could get another RB in towards the end of the session. We're going to put on our fresh set of softs and go again here. Yellow sector 1, green sector 2 though. Right now we're down on our time about a 10th or so, so it's looking unlikely that we'll even improve, let alone get into the last part of the session. Down to P15 now. Albon's improved. Last corner, we're up by a 10th, but we need a bit more than that to secure our spot in the top 10 shootout. And again, that curve costing us a lot of time. After the last corner, 1:34.6 I think I saw there. No improvement, and unfortunately it's P15 for us. So not at all the pace we had in sprint qualifying, which is unfortunate, but still, it's a position where I feel we can make some places from. Yuki goes to Q3, and Norris will top the session, expecting him to take pole position in the Grand Prix itself. But here we go then. It's time to see if we can nab some points from here. Let's see what we can make of the Chinese Grand Prix.
The Chinese Grand Prix then is upon us once again. It's a race that saw Michael Schumacher claim his final Formula One victory in 2006, as well as Red Bull's first win with Sebastian Vettel in 2009. There's no doubt there's plenty more drama to come here in Shanghai. We're here in the Yangtze River Delta today, home of the 16 corners that make up the Shanghai International Circuit. 54% of this 3.3 mile lap is taken at full throttle, and we'll be getting up to speeds of around 200 miles per hour with DRS assistance down the back straight before the cars break into the tight hairpin at turn 14. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And it's Fernando Alonso alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Oscar Piastri, Sainz, Perez, Hamilton, Gasly, Tsunoda, Stroll, Ocon, Albon, Zhou, Cohen, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Bottas, Leclerc, Sargent, and George Russell ends our grid lineup. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. And alongside me here today in the commentary box, Anthony Davidson. I know what we've got to do before the start of today's race, but what about our driver? What do the final hours look like for them?
Well, for them, you've got your pre-race rituals that you go through. You see different drivers that, some have got their headphones on, they're listening to the music. Some drivers really absorb the energy from the crowd and they're there waving to them. Other drivers, they go within themselves. They chat to their engineers, absorbing that information, that vital information that you need to carry you through the race. And, those pre-race rituals are essential to making things systematic. We do a lot of Grand Prix in a season, and the more systematic you can be, the easier you are within that environment.
No more talking then. It is time for action here at the Chinese Grand Prix from P14 on the grid. Russell taking a penalty, so he'll start from the back alongside Charles Leclerc. So keep an eye on those two charging up through the field throughout the race. In terms of strategy, looking at a simple one-stop, as usual, medium to hard tyre. Consider the change to softs, but didn't go for it in the end. And looking for a change in terms of laps, but key things to how they were default-wise. And we'll move from there on to the formation lap now. Looking for a good start this time around, because we got bogged down an awful lot on the initial start in the sprint. Because we managed to make up those places back, but the concern there is that another pad start, we might not be so lucky given that we're further back in the pack. So that could be a bit more of a problem here. In terms of engine condition, we're still struggling a little bit. That light is getting closer and closer to red. So I'm a bit more concerned, particularly about the gearbox, and the ICE is in danger as well. But I'd say we've probably got another race and a half or so on that. So we're looking to change that perhaps next time round to get into our grid spot here. Zhou alongside us with the home favourite going towards turn 1 in the Sauber, starting on the hard tyres. It is Norris and Alonso on the front row as he charge towards the lights here for the 5th Grand Prix of the season. The lights are out. We are underway here in China. Better getaway this time. Zhou gets back, stays in front of us for the meantime. Here goes Bottas to our outside, the other Sauber, as he goes towards turn 1. They're both starting on the hard tyres. He's going to turn 1 to the inside of Zhou. See if we can dive inside, take some more places off of these guys in front. Only just the one on Albon here, so not as good a getaway, but we've made up places this time around. Could try the outside of Gasly at turn 3. Albon still alongside us. Not good enough exit there. Albon also on the medium tyre. A definitely split strategy between the majority of the field today as we charge up towards the end of the first sector. Albon stays in front, but one place up into the end of the first sector. And to the inside now to make it 2 once again. Up in front of Albon and into P12. Gasly ahead of us. Stroll and Ocon in P10 and P9. Yuki up the order a bit further here. So looking at some good points, we can maintain that place over the next 28 laps. Further on towards turn 14, the end of this first lap. Albon again to our inside. I get the feeling we're dealing with him a lot today as we go into the hairpin and on the exit, pulling in from by half a car length. But can we come back at him with an overtake? It can be wise to probably back out of it and let him go here to avoid any hold up in the last corner. Over the curb there, over the sausage curb, and that gives us a bit of a poor exit as well. But on to lap 2 though, we gained some places here. So up to one place, to P13. And again, things looking all good there. DRS in play for the first time. That'll come into effect and we charge towards turn 14 for the second time. Down the inside of Albon once again. It will be the outside for turn number 3. Well, at this point, we almost clear him as we do go clear on the exit. So up into P12 once again, and 2 places away from the points as it stands. But plenty of work still to be done. Of course, those cars in front of us are a lot quicker by comparison in terms of straight line speed, just because those warm components. Fighting Gasly now, looking to fight Gasly at the start of lap number 5 of this race. Albon a second back, so no threat from behind at this point in the Grand Prix. Looking to close. Yuki is further up ahead, looking at the top 10.
0.9 seconds. They're on old mediums. They're currently 6th.
6th place for Yuki, and Gasly gives us our first objective of the race to overtake him before the start of lap 10. So it gives us about 4 laps we cross the line to finish that job. Let's see if we can do that as quickly as we possibly can here, and just try and nab the objective. It's still how easy it can be done. You just have to pass him the one time, regardless if he gets him back. So down the inside, looking for a late dive, but it didn't quite work out. Gasly gets back in front of us. That was really a waste, to be honest. That's a waste of good tyres. We may have flattened one a little bit potentially on the way in, but Gasly gets back in front of us, and we find ourselves same place again on lap 6. Albon now within 6/10, so he's back in DRS range here. Keep an eye out from behind in the DRS zones towards turn 14 and turn 1. Down the inside again from a long way back on the Frenchman, and down on the inside. Remember, Alpine are looking at us potentially in the secret meetings after Japan, so of course we don't want to get in their bad books too much. So that's a race Gasly nice and clean, but fortunately he backs out of it, and we're up into P11 now. 1 place off the point. Stroll knock on just in front. I see Perez there in P8 from what I can see further up front. DRS still in play. We're only just in range still, but Gasly will come back at us first, charging towards the inside of turn 14. He gets to even reach the braking zone. Gasly back in front. Can we outbrake him? Going in once again on the outside, pulling alongside Stroll and Ocon, going side by side in front, so the two will lose a bit of time to us two behind, and Albon looking to get involved from behind as well. Down the inside of Gasly in the last corner. This time we don't back out. We've got the run going in on the exit. No contact, nice and clean, and Gasly falls back to P12 to begin lap number 7 now. Stroll and Ocon our next 2 targets as he enters turn 1 once again, but Gasly still on our tail though. Let's keep an eye out for those two behind, because those two are still particularly strong. We're down the inside of Lance now. Can't quite get close enough to take on Ocon, so we'll get into P10, up into the points now. And I was right, that is Perez in P8, so Perez not doing fantastically right now. Up front is Lando Norris, who leads the way. Verstappen in second. Alonso, I believe, runs in 3rd place. We've seen that pairing on the podium already this season, to my knowledge, as he charged down towards turn 4. The inside of Ocon, like we did on Gasly, and up into P9 now. So good move, and try and pull away on the exit to avoid any potential comeback until the DRS zone. As we come through once again, Ocon with a fantastic run. I haven't got a lot of battery here. The ERS saving has been quite poor over the course of this race so far. But this time we've got the inside to go outbrake the Frenchman into the corner. Slight wheel tap at minimum there. Hamilton running P7 right now. You saw him flicker onto our screen briefly on the leaderboard. Ocon is still on the inside, we have to back out of it and try and get a switch back, but contact there with the back tyre of his car. Luckily no wing damage, but a poor exit as John comes back at us here onto lap 8. The Canadian gets back up in front of us here. So all in all, that move failed in the end, and Stroll are trying to take Ocon too, but can we got the inside of both cars potentially? Down the inside of Stroll, down the inside of Ocon now too. Both of them seeding here, allowing us through and up into P9 once again. That same tactic, that same entry in the first corner is really helping us here, and I think we definitely wouldn't be there this high without it. Pushing further on to lap 8 now. Ocon is still there on our tail and looking to counter for any mistake we could possibly make. Through towards the end of the second sector. Big slide there on the exit of the left-hander. And Ocon, just like that, pulls back alongside around the outside. So he hits the second split and going into the braking zone. He's still there underneath, or still on the outside of us. We're going to be inside of him going into the corner. He said the inside for the right-hander. He gets back in front of us. Going to try and pull down low. Another slide there. The medium tyres perhaps not doing their job as much now. They've been on for quite a fair few laps at this point, and we've been pushing to their limit, trying to get further up the order. So to struggle at this stage of the race. Ocon pulling away here. We've got DRS to our advantage now. Towards turn 14. Stroll closing. We close on Ocon. It could be 3 wide at maximum here going towards the corner. Stroll on the inside. Backs out of it, stays, or backs out of the move on Ocon. We can't get closer to Ocon, so Ocon will maintain P9. We get the inside, or to the outside of Stroll on the exit. That'll be the inside for the last corner, but luckily he backs away. And we're back into P10, but looking to hunt Ocon now for P9 once more. DRS in play. If we can get another run towards turn 1 as we begin lap 9 of this race. Look at that, the top 8 have pulled away massively here. That train continuing to show the way as we go through turn 1. On the outside of Ocon, briefly then ducking back inside to make the move and make it stick through turn 2. So all in all, that move keeps on working for us here. But again, it's a continuous cat and mouse game with Ocon getting the advantage and pushing back past. I think I'm Stroll as well. Gasly not close to go for it. He's got Albon company right behind him. So those two get back in front. We've been fighting these guys for a good few laps now. And obviously it's doing a decent number on our race car. But right now we're still staying in the fight. A bit of traction loss on the exit there allows Stroll and Ocon to maintain their place up in front of us. closing in the end of that first pit window though. Yellow flag behind us. No, that's what it looks like. One of the Haas cars potentially. It looks like it's going to be. I'm sure it will be. Oh, the lost car. I see a white icon slowing down as he goes towards turn 1. Stroll's getting inside of Ocon. It's Hulkenberg's out of the race. So one of the Haas cars, indeed, Nico Hulkenberg, becomes the first retiree of the Chinese Grand Prix. 3 wide. Brief making move. Very quick making move. Down the inside of Ocon and Stroll here. Let's have a look at the replay. Just what's happened to Nico Hulkenberg. It's become our first retirement of the race. And when did it happen exactly? You see him start to slow up a little bit. Bottas and Zhou getting away. He pulls out a line and he's on the inside going into that last corner. Not a nice place to be. Russell and Leclerc still back there. And the smoke happens around it at the last corner. Not a nice place to have it. But Hulkenberg pulls the car over and he is out of the race. We get swamped on the run towards turn 14. This time down inside of Gasly all the way, cutting the corner a bit. So I had to make sure he gets the spot back. But we were in front of Ocon and Stroll. No warning from the game. We'll maintain a P10 for now. But a big scrabble for position towards the hairpin. Oh, slide on the exit. That could have allowed Ocon and Stroll come back at us here. The charge towards turn 1. Once again, there's our problem. ICE 65, gearbox 72. So we are nearing problems here. We could potentially be on course to have problems. I'm seeing something there between 3rd and 5th. Contact with Gasly as he fight back past. That could be a concern to keep an eye on over the next couple of laps.
I'm struggling here. I feel like I've lost a gear, maybe 4th.
Right, we've looked at the gearbox issue, but I'm afraid there's nothing we can do. Try and drive around it. We'll just have to hope for the best. Remember, you've got a lot of torque in these power units, so you should be able to stay in high gears for a lot of the lap.
We have lost the gear. The gearbox already starting to develop problems at 72%. We could be in trouble. Our objective is now to charge ERS, which could be a bit of a concern as we're fighting these guys around us. But it could help us on the run towards turn 14 each time. On to lap 13, our pit window opens. Gasly pulling away. Ocon to the inside. With his charge towards turn 1. The Alpines have got us now. And there it is. Gearbox now 73%. Keep an eye on this. We're still struggling through turns 1 and 2. Which of course sort of relies on going back and forth between the high and the low gears as we go towards now turn 14. Stroll again making the move. Ocon going for move 2. These guys have pushed us to our absolute limit. And Albon still right behind us with chasing with the rest of the pack behind as well. But now it's time for us to make our first and only pit stop of this race. Not a moment too soon. These medium tyres are starting to struggle now. They've been crying out for a breather as they've got Albon, I believe, joining us in the pits as well in the Williams. And Russell stays out. Leclerc behind us there. Leclerc pits. So Charles Leclerc is in, looking for his first stop on the race onto hard tyres to get to the end. But a fast stop from Ferrari could put him right in the hunt with us as we look now for our first and only stop of this race. Into our pit box we come, optimal turn in, looking for no mistakes here, looking for a clean stop. And we get it here. The orange tyre light was just coming on there. And we're away now on hard tyres and back off into the Grand Prix in P16 right now. Albon, Magnussen and Leclerc all coming in behind us. And we make our exit and looking to try and keep up with the cars in front, who of course did make that stop when we did. So Ocon, Gasly, Stroll, that whole pack there will be fighting them on the pit exit, or fighting to get back around them on the pit exit. Albon there behind us. Leclerc is about 2 or 3 seconds back. And this stage almost 3 seconds back at this point as he continue back out onto the circuit, onto lap 17 here, back into P9 the circuit. Everything all sort of circles back out again, but being chased by Charles Leclerc now. Albon's fallen back, Ocon's got him too as he charged down towards the DRS track once more. Leclerc to the outside of the racetrack. We give him the space there, practically allowing him through. And there goes Ocon on our inside as well. Verstappen sets the fastest up, Norris sets the fastest up. Those two are locked in the race for the lead. Verstappen now in front. Let's see if he can make a move back past Ocon on the inside. Leclerc's got us for the minute as he charged through off of turn 14 and now towards 15. Ocon gets himself back in front. We could be kissing goodbye our chances of scoring points in this race. Those guys have the pace that we do not. Ocon's on mediums now. Leclerc is on hard tyres, but Ferrari naturally faster than our RB. On to lap 20, still holding on P11 right now. Albon right behind us, but those guys going further and further up the road here. Gasly joining the fight as we continue on to lap 27. 2 laps to go in this Grand Prix as we push further on into the lap. Albon dropping out the picture completely, fighting here for just for pride for P11. Back down the inside of Gasly here, holding off this pack to try and finish as high as we can in the closing back. Whoa, red light there on the engine, that's a concern, and that's the ICE that's gone fully. The smoke is there, and it looks like game over, retiring for a mechanical failure. No, the race is done. I can't believe that.
Engine's gone, I'm out.
How about that? Our first mechanical retirement of the season, our first retirement of the season, and that's it. I mean, we were out of the points regardless, but a frustrating way, hoping to make the flag, but in the end, it just wasn't to be. Game over.
It's another victory. victory and a champion's performance from Max Verstappen.
And it's always good, Crofty, to get that momentum on your side, and it's really good for your confidence as well. The more confident you are, the further that can take you.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everybody at the team.
So Verstappen then after 2 races gets himself back on top with the win. Look, Norris comes home in second, perhaps frustrated not to win that one. I think he more lost out in the pit stops. And Alonso comes home third, another solid podium for Aston Martin to continue their charge, but just a frustrating way for our own Grand Prix to finish. Out the race with a lap and a half to go. Will be classified, but it's more or less a retirement there. I can only hope that issue gets sorted before our next race in Miami.
And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
So you have it, Verstappen sweeps the weekend. Let's have a look at your final results from the race itself. So Verstappen wins it then from Norris and Alonso. Piastri comes home 4th, Sainz in 5th, Perez 6th, Hamilton 7th. Yuki gets points in the end, he comes home in 8th place. Leclerc 9th, and Ocon nabs the last point. Russell came up to P12 in the end, but it wasn't to be. And we are classified 2 laps down, 19th of the 18 running cars. Frustrating way to go, but I think it was coming, if I'm completely honest. If it wasn't that, it would be the gearbox. In terms of the Drivers' Championship, Verstappen re-extends his advantage to 23 points over Norris. We stay P11 with our 7 points, one of which he got during the sprint today. Yuki up to P12 now with the 4 points he got from finishing in 7th. And we take points in the... Sorry, Yuki finished 8th in the race. And we take more points in the Constructors' Championship, putting us further in front of Alpine and Sauber as Red Bull continue to lead McLaren and Aston Martin. In terms then of our ratings, then to kick things off, of course we'll get to the teammate rivalry first. It's now a tie in the rivalry. We'll keep an eye on that one over the next few races. Improvement to our experience, improvements to our racecraft, awareness goes up to 75, pace goes up to, only briefly, and focus goes down to 68 thanks to retirement. But even though we still get enough to gain points across the weekend, so a 76 rating is confirmed. We're just 4 away now already in just after 5 races, and we're actually on top of Yuki now, recognition-wise. So the sprint result must have definitely helped us. And in terms of specialists, we're closing in on just getting one of these guys into the next tier. But I feel like it could happen next episode for keeping on that manufacturing expert up the top. A good objective there will keep us in the hunt. But guys, that is a frustrating end to this video, but it's the end of the video regardless. If you did enjoy it, make sure to like, share and subscribe for more future F1 24 content as driver career continues. Hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day. Until my next video, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.